Together with American songwriter, we had the chance to chat with Alec Wigdahl.
Adam talked to Alec over the phone, and check out his new song, Lipstick.
Make sure to check out our YouTube channel and Facebook page at Bringing It Backwards, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Bringing Back Pod.
And we'd appreciate your support if you follow and subscribe to our podcasts wherever you listen to these podcasts.
We're Bringing It Backwards with Alec Wigdahl.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries.
Where'd you grow up, Alec?
I'm from Minneapolis. I'm from the Twin Cities.
Oh, cool. Born and raised there?
Yeah. Born and raised there, yeah, like my whole life.
Right on. And how did you get into music originally?
I grew up, my parents were really into, had very distinct music tastes and really enjoyed, like putting me and my sister on to, bands and artists they really liked. And so I think I grew up kind of being exposed to a lot of music, and then later on in high school, it kind of morphed into, I want to write songs. Like, this is kind of a therapeutic thing for me. This is kind of a fun thing. And I think this passion for music just kind of snuck up on me, and it was there the whole time. I just took me a minute to kind of find it. But yeah, it was probably high school where I really started writing songs and playing guitar serious and playing piano serious. And yeah, just kind of went from there.
Nice. What was the first instrument you learned? Piano or guitar? One of the two?
Piano. Yeah, it's piano when I was just a little kid doing the super basic little kid piano lessons. And
sure.
And then I took guitar lessons for 2 seconds, and that didn't really work. And ever since then, I kind of just been all self-taught. Most of the stuff I know how to do on piano and guitar is self-taught, and producing, writing is all just kind of my own thing.
Mm-hmm. It's funny how that works, with lessons, because you know that piano or guitar, they're teaching you scales and things that you probably didn't want to learn how to play, and instead, you could just learn a cover of whatever song you wanted to play or whatever.
That's what it started with. I played guitar for 8 years without knowing any scales or music theory at all, and I was just learning songs, and I was just that's all I wanted to do was write and play songs. I didn't want to learn any of the theory, but eventually it was good to know the theory and to kind of go back and learn it. So.
Yeah, totally. So you started writing songs in high school. Were you in a band?
No, I was never in a band. There weren't a lot of musical people around me. Maybe I just didn't seek them out, but it was always just kind of my own little journey. And the other thing too was I wasn't really treating it as a career path yet. Mm-hmm. Or really thinking I was even capable of doing that. So I wasn't I should find a band and really go hard on this. It was just kind of I write songs and don't really tell anybody about it. And then I started, posting Instagram videos, singing and dealing with the whole, almost coming out as a musician, because at the start you're not very good. So the singing videos aren't that great and people make fun of you and all that shit. But it was all part of kind of the growth of it. And yeah, senior year of high school, I started taking it more seriously and figured out that I wanted to go to Berklee and just kind of see what happened, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was there a moment that you can remember that you decided, this is really what I want to do?
I don't know if it was an exact moment, but I definitely remember there being kind of a period where music went from being a very hobby feeling sort of thing, something I'm just kind of I do in my free time. And then at some point it kind of shifted to people know me as the music kid now. This is my reputation. This is what I'm known for. This is what I love to do. And this is, it got to a point where I didn't play sports anymore, and it was all just everything kind of just kept circling back to music. And after a while, it was my senior year. I was just kind of maybe I could actually do this. And then I went and tried out for Berklee and managed to get in somehow. I wasn't even sure I'd get in. And then when I got that email, I was sitting in my biology class senior year, and I got that email that said, "Oh, you're into Berklee. You're good." And I was just at that exact moment, I was yeah, fuck school. I'm not. There's nothing else I want to do in my life other than just play music.
Wow. Tell me about the application process for that. That must be pretty crazy.
Yeah, you do a bunch of online normal college bullshit, but I had to drive down to Chicago. Me and my dad drove down to Chicago one long weekend because they only host auditions in Boston, where the actual school is, and then Chicago, LA, the more central cities. And
Mm-hmm.
So we had to drive down to Chicago. This was like November of 2018, 2018, something like that. And I went down. It was at this random like recording studio. I'd never really been in a studio before either. And they had these super intimidating like old musical like judges there that were like veterans of the school board and stuff. And you have to like play songs for them, and they quiz you on like solo in this key for me, and like play it and do this and this and this. And it's really just a test, I think, of personality more than anything, because they kind of interview you too.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they care as much about your musical ability as they do how badly you seem to want it and how badly you seem to like, be invested in it. But it was a scary kind of experience, but it was good. It was fun. It was kind of the first time where I like really took music seriously. I was like, oh God, like this isn't just some coffee shop I'm playing in like for my friends. Like this is like I really have to perform well and like try to get in. But yeah, it was good. And Berklee was a fun time too.
Did you perform like a original song or in the audition, or did you do a cover?
I did. I performed an original song, and then I performed "Edge of Desire" by John Mayer.
Okay.
And I did both of those just on a little my acoustic guitar that was like beat up. I had duct tape on it, like it was just this like battered down guitar.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I did one of my original songs that was on my first EP that by now is wiped off the face of the earth. But an EP I released in high school, I did one of those songs, and I did "Edge of Desire" by John Mayer, and then I just did kind of little soloing exercises, or like they ask you to just play some random chords and see if you know them, and yeah, I felt pretty good about it. And remember like still not knowing, I remember like driving back to Minnesota and still not thinking I got in, and somehow I got in. Yeah.
So you got
it just went from there.
Yeah,
went from there.
You get the letter and you're in, and that must have been a pretty validating moment for you.
It for sure was, yeah. And it was that's the perfect word, is validating. Is everyone kind of sees you as like, oh, he just does music as a hobby, and then like getting into the school and going, oh yeah, I'm going there next year. Like people kind of treat you differently, as like, oh, he really like does music. It's not like just some like thing he does after school. Like he really does it. And that felt really good to have that shift and really be treated as like an actual like musician.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're not just a guy that knows how to play guitar and write songs, and now you're actually in a school and you're taking this very seriously.
Exactly.
So at Berklee, did you meet other musicians that you jammed with, or like tell me about? You said you scrapped the first EP you released. You scrubbed it from the internet, but I'm looking on Spotify. Like 21 Hours, was that the first release? Was that the next release?
21 Hours is the EP. I made it all while I was at Berklee.
Oh, cool.
So 21 Hours is kind of like, I look back on that project as like my life in Boston, kind of. Because I made those songs in like the practice rooms in our dorm halls.
Mm-hmm.
I would go there till like 5 a.m. and just like be working on these songs. And yes, 21 Hours was the EP I made there. But Berklee definitely opened my eyes, just all the people you meet there, and just like it's just a bunch of insanely talented kids, honestly. And like it can be a negative thing for some people, because it takes, like everyone's like the music kid of their hometown, and when you go to Berklee, they take that most unique thing about you, like, oh, he's the music kid, she's the music girl, like she sings, and they take that unique quality about you, and then they drop you in this community where everyone's like that, and that doesn't make you special anymore. Like, and I think there's a lot of kids at Berklee that felt kind of like, oh, I'm at Berklee, I made it, I'm good. Like, oh, Charlie Puth went here, like I'm good, like I made it, I'm at Berklee. And then I think there's another section of people that think they don't deserve to be there, and felt like they had to work 3 times as hard to even earn their spot there.
Mm.
And I think I definitely lean more towards that second category, because it's easy to feel like everyone there is better than you, because they all play these different instruments and they're all like classically trained and can just do all these things. And so it was easy to really feel like, what does the world need another white guy playing acoustic guitar for, when there's all these great musicians here doing all the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. At the school at Berklee, were there like a lot of, open mic nights and stuff, like little coffee shops to perform at? And if so, was it intimidating to get up in those rooms because of the amount of musical talent that, is is in that vicinity.
Yeah, totally. There definitely were like so many events and like opportunities to play live and stuff. And they had a big cafeteria, like there's a huge stage in the cafeteria of Berklee where like Bruno Mars has performed there, and they host all these nightly concerts there where people can go up and play. And there's tons of like college bars and restaurants around the area that students go and perform at. And I was kind of interested in that. I think I had spent like the previous 2 years just in the Twin Cities and in Minneapolis just playing. I used to just play coffee shops and bars like 4 or 5 nights a week for probably a year and a half, 2 years. And
oh wow.
And that was kind of me, like, and I played a lot of nights where like just like empty rooms and like, or like sushi bars where like no one's paying attention, like a lot of just like weird gigs like that kind of thickened my skin, and kind of like I played a lot of like bad shows like that just kind of gave me the experience I needed, I think, to not feel awkward playing in front of people.
Yeah.
So when I went to Berklee, I was already kind of like over the hump of like singing in front of people or like playing in front of people. So like I didn't participate in a lot of like the big concerts and stuff that Berklee did, because those were like for upperclassmen and shit. But like when you're with a group of friends and you're all freshmen and you're all in someone's dorm and everyone's got instruments out, like I was happy. I was never scared to like sing in front of people or like, you know, do or play it or. But I see what you're saying. It's definitely still easy to be like, you know, kind of intimidated by the crowd and by all these other musicians. But yeah, like I said, I think I'd kind of been in it long enough where I was just ready to. By the time I got to Berklee, I'd played enough live shows. I was ready to just work on like this EP I made and work on getting better at guitar and stuff. And yeah, playing live wasn't really like something I was super like focused on when I went to Berklee. I was more so trying to just like be the one to make it out of Berklee, essentially. Like,
yeah. I thought that was interesting that you said that you play at sushi restaurants. I've heard a lot of artists recently when I'm doing these interviews telling me that like they got their start, you know, playing the side room of like a sushi restaurant. I just find that interesting.
For sure.
Is that like a big thing? A lot of sushi restaurants allow artists to perform at?
Yeah, it might be, honestly. And like I used to go to this one sushi bar in uptown Minneapolis that was like, I would go up and play on the second floor. It was this bar and it was super rowdy. And I would get up and I'd be like, hey guys, I'm Alec, I'm 16, I'm from, and I'd do my little intro, whatever. And like I was just a little like 15, 16-year-old kid, and I would play my set, and it would be terrible probably. I'd get off and the guy who ran the restaurant would come up to me this first night after I played, and he was like, and I thought he was just gonna be like, hey man, great set. But he came up and he was like, hey buddy, you can't say your age at the start because you're not legally supposed to be here. And I was like, oh shit. But he was like, but it's all good. You can come back here and play next week too. And everyone was really nice about it. But yeah, maybe sushi bars are kind of the hidden come up spot.
Yeah, the new DIY scene is at the sushi bars.
Yeah,
I just thought that was interesting. Right on.
Those were some good times.
Yeah. So you said you wrote and recorded 21 hours when you were going to Berklee. Did you graduate from there?
No, I literally went for like one semester and did.
Oh, really? And then what was next for you from there then, like once you left Berklee?
Yeah, so I spent the whole fall semester there, and then the spring semester of my freshman year I transferred back to the University of Minnesota. So I was just going to like the main like big university school that all my friends I graduated with went to, and it was kind of like the big main Minnesota school. And
right.
I transferred back there, and I was still focusing on music. I think a lot of my friends and people that knew me had this perception that when I left Berklee, I was like quitting music. But I was really still focusing on music, and I was trying to maybe study some other shit or like major in like political science or journalism or something. And after that semester, I kind of was like, you know what? Music's really the only thing I have the time or the patience or the love for. So that's when I like fully dropped out of college, and then that was like a year ago. Spent some time and internet money found me, and the timing worked out quite well. I think with the whole dropping out and leaving Berklee, like it all kind of at the time, like leaving Berklee and then dropping out of the University of Minnesota, it all felt like I'm moving backwards. Like I moved to Boston and did this big thing, and then I just have been moving backwards. I moved back to Minnesota, and then I dropped out and moved back into my parents' house, and like it was always moving backwards. And but it all like worked out the way it was supposed to, because Internet Money found me, and it all just kind of clicked in place, and here we are.
And how did they find you?
Yeah, so I don't know if you're familiar with Taz Taylor or Internet Money at all. Yeah. So it started out as like a producer collective, so hip hop producers that make beats for stuff like that, and they actually were the ones who discovered Juice WRLD and made all of his big songs at the start. And
really?
Yeah. So like Lucid Dreams, like All Girls All the Same, all the Juice WRLD stuff was us, and then they discovered Lil Tecca, and did his big hits, and I've just kind of been doing like the hip hop scene for a while. So Taz Taylor found me on Twitter on like a singing video I did. He's the CEO and the founder of Internet Money, and basically my adopted parent now. But he found me, and then Frankie, who's his assistant and now my manager, they both hit me up, and it was just kind of like this, hey, we like your music, we think you're fire, like, and my immediate reaction, because I knew who they were, I knew who Internet Money was, and I was like, well, what does Internet Money want with an artist like me, with like a pop artist? Like, I play guitar, I sing, I don't rap, I don't make beats like that. And at first it was super like, like, what is this? And I was kind of concerned, but I flew out and met them in New York City. That's where we made all of Strawberry, almost, the EP I released under them. And then right after the New York trip for a couple of days, I went to LA with them, and it was my first time in New York and LA. This was like 6-7 months ago. And they hit me up, and they're basically like, oh, we want to sign you as like our first like pop artist, our first non-hip hop artist. And I was super excited about that idea, because I was like, I'd rather be like the first artist of my type with this group of people I really get along with and look at as friends and as a family, as opposed to like, maybe signing to a bigger label 5 years from now, where I'll be like the 10th string, pop artist. I'll have all these people above me. And it was just kind of a good opportunity that came in at the right time. And they're like my family now.
That's amazing.
Taz and Internet Money. So they signed like a co-venture thing with 10K Projects, which is Elliot Grange's record label company. And I'm like signed under 10K and under Internet Money.
Okay. And then are they the ones that are putting out Cologne and the new stuff that you have coming out?
Right. It's like it's one and the same. 10K and Internet Money is just kind of working in conjunction, but yeah, that's who I'm releasing music under now. So
with Strawberry and Internet, you said they put out Internet Money, or Internet Money put out Strawberry. Sorry, was it? Yeah.
So I had signed before releasing Strawberry. Yeah, so that was under 10K and Internet Money.
Got it. And with those songs, were those all? I mean, did you approach that differently, being signed to a record label, or like were those songs that you already had and had recorded before signing?
No, they weren't. All the songs were written just like on the spot in the studio when we were working in New York and in LA. So I went out the first night, and I met Taz, I met Mira, who's a producer for Net Money, I met Ian Dior, and we all kind of connected this one night in New York and started making songs, and they were in New York for like 4 or 5 days, and I was with them kind of tagging along, and we made like 7 songs, I think, in New York, and we wrote them all. Like, I wrote them all on the spot in the studio. It wasn't stuff I had written before. And then we flew back to LA where we're based, and we finished up like 2 or 3 more songs, and we were like, wow, that's a project. It all came together in like a week. It was really quick.
That's awesome.
But it was just kind of like this. It was this really like pure, like authentic, like I'll look back on Strawberry in 10 years and be like, oh, that like was that month in my life where we made that, and it was just like it represents like that moment.
Mm-hmm. And then,
it's kind of cool. Kind of cool to look back on.
Yeah, tell me about the new stuff that you have coming out then.
Yeah. So we released Cologne as a single, and I actually have a new single coming out tomorrow night.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So tomorrow night's a next single, follow up to Cologne, and then we'll probably do like one more single before releasing like a second project. But it's gonna be it's not completely done, but I definitely have a lot of the project done, and it's going to be a few songs longer than Strawberry. Definitely more like just taking more risks, I think, like getting more indie, getting more alternative, or just like edgy with it, like just messing around with more styles of music, different writing, and just kind of like taking everything kind of that next level, I guess I would say.
Yeah. So is Cologne a pretty good example of what the rest of the tracks like the vibe of the rest of the track?
Yes, I think Cologne definitely still stands on its own. It's like its own little vibe, its own thing, but it definitely represents kind of the direction of stuff. I think it's getting more bass heavy. It's getting slightly darker. It's getting more like beat driven and less like acoustic guitar, but definitely still keeping a lot of the stuff I've always done. So I'm excited to share it with everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to hear that new song. I really like Cologne and the other stuff that you guys have put, or the other stuff that you've put out over the years. It's great. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I appreciate you taking the time to chat with me today. It's been fun.
Yeah,
I really
course.
appreciate
Thank
it. I have one more question for you. I want to
worries.
know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Any advice for aspiring artists? That's a good question. Honestly, I think the most important thing for me when I was kind of going through it was you have to just love music to the point where it doesn't really matter how successful you are or if things are going up or things are going down, because I think like every aspiring artist has those days where it feels like everything's falling into place. Like, oh, like I just got that playlist placement, or I just released this song and it's doing well. I just posted on Instagram and everyone's loving it. But there's also going to be a whole lot of days where you feel like nothing's going right and you can't write a good song and you feel like you don't deserve to be where you are, or things just don't feel like it's working. And those are the days where like, if you love music, if you really love it to the point where you could just sit and listen to it and become inspired, or write 10 bad songs just because you like writing songs, like that passion, that love, that's what's going to push you through, all the harder days to get to the better ones, is just making it about the music first and not about, if you're thinking about the success more than just the quality of the music or how much you really care about it, then that's the main mistake, I think.